Hello, hello. This is Carlos Fernando Ocon recording in. The time is 12 8:12. So this is my attempt to do a one-shot take no matter what, because I'm in a deadline right now. It's Saturday, and I did say I was going to do this week by week without missing it. And that is my commitment to doing something like this, even if I'm tired. And normally I would have a topic in mind, but the only thing that really comes to mind right now is just don't do things at the last second, because you kind of get a sense of just urgency, for the lack of better words. As you can see, my eyes are tired and I just want to go rest right now and go to bed. But on the flip side, if you do things at the last minute, it can come from an out of the blue creativeness that can come out of nowhere. And sometimes the most creative things could happen at a last minute deadline. But for me, I kind of don't like that. But at the same time, something pretty cool could come from it. But one thing I come to learn is that I used to be pretty late on my job almost every day, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. But my boss is pretty lenient about being on time. But the thing is, though, is that it's a reflection on your life circumstance if you treat yourself in that fashion, being late to events. Because if you give yourself the time and attention and care to actually go ahead and lift yourself up from doing things earlier, you have a good sense of just not feeling rushed, calm, soothing. And one thing I come to discover on my stream of consciousness of my own video recordings, not video recordings, audio recordings that I occasionally do when I want to take a break from writing my journal, is that doing things earlier and being on time or even early in your job, it's another form of self-care. Because for one, you don't feel that you got to rush, and you don't have that needless adrenaline trying to race for the clock when you get to your destination. Two, there's a sense of calmness when you're there, and you don't really have to just try to race your way through your job. And I'm pretty much repeating myself, but that's okay. And what other good reasons? I mean, I can tell you about my experiences that when I decided that I had it on being late for events and meetings and for my work, I feel has done wonders of my own self-respect and care for actually doing things earlier, especially when it comes to work. And the thing is, though, there's this small little thing makes the big things in life. Because going to an event on time, it's another form of showing love for someone that you care about them. And it's another way of respecting their time as well. But the best thing about doing things early is that it gives you time and care to do things that you want to do and be prepared for your own job as well. And one thing that has helped me tremendously is that, as I already mentioned, I head to my destination, my job, calmly, soothing, not rushing, not fighting against traffic. And that's one thing that I want to highlight now that I mentioned that. See, another good thing about being earlier is that sometimes you just have to anticipate there's going to be traffic on the way, because that's something that you may not be able to anticipate, especially in an early morning, because there could be an accident in the road that can make the make getting there slowing down. And the reason I'm laughing is because I know I'm stumbling with my words, but that's okay. The whole point is, though, is that there's a sense of just feeling so much better when you could do things earlier. Because I personally like the idea of just giving myself more time to meditate, reflect, and be where I'm at 10 or 20 minutes before. And that'll give you your own time to just settle and not feeling that little rush adrenaline from that. Because the one thing that I've starting to grasp now that I'm talking about this is that it's that now I'm overthinking things. Now, if I want to segue, if I'm talking to somebody, so the best thing about actually doing things early is that you will not feel frantic throughout the day. Because if you start calm in the beginning, there's a good order from it all by the end of the day. Because the world is feminine, the world is chaos. The only order that you can have, it all starts from yourself and what you have control over, your own circle of influence. Because if you can set the day right with discipline and care and focus, that has a domino effect by the end of the day. And it's up to you to have less chaos by the end of it when you're there on time for your projects and for being at the destination where you got to work at, where you choose to work at, not gotta. One thing I want to digress now that I mentioned that is that you always have a choice on what you can do with your life, where you work, what you do, even if you feel like you have no choice. There's always a choice, for better or for worse. And what do I mean by that? It's like, no matter their circumstances, whether it's hard or good, you always have a choice. And if I want to keep the topic similar to what I'm talking about, let's say work, for instance. Sometimes there are people where they would actually use the phrase, I'm working and I feel trapped on what I do. But the thing is, dude, are you really? Arguably, you could say that yes, maybe some people might feel trapped per se, but you chose to be at that job. You chose to work there. Nobody dragged you to do that, hopefully, at least. But I'm talking about, if you really think about it, you are the one that chose to work at a certain job. No one forces you to do what you want to do. And I understand sometimes you might be in a job where you kind of feel like that's your only choice on where you can stay for that moment. And if you feel that way, that gives you a good indication that there is something more and better you want to do for yourself. Because it's okay to have a season where you're working someplace where you may not agree with, but you shouldn't feel compelled and stuck there if you feel that it doesn't serve you for what you want to do in your life. Because if you know you're in a job where you see no future into it, then I say get out, do something else, look for something, challenge yourself to something that's you haven't done before. Sometimes you just need a radical change to do all that, but of course do it responsibly if you can help it. Like if you have some money savings involved to afford yourself to go to another job, then cool. That's where the other choice can happen, is choosing to save and give yourself cushion room to and safety net to move on to something else. I don't even know how long I have, honestly. But I set an alarm so that way I know if I can still keep talking for whatever minutes I have left over. So, yeah. Where else am I leading with this? I have no idea. And that's okay. That's why sometimes it's nice to have an actual plan on what you want to write out with your speech. And that's why doing things at the last minute may be challenging to do something like this. What's one thing I can speak that comes on top of my head right now? Nothing. Sometimes all you need is a little bit of silence to gather your thoughts and think the next day that you want to say. All you got to do is pause and wait. Close your eyes. Stay in silence. Observe the next thoughts that go into your head. Are you getting anything? Somehow, those thoughts just suddenly came from The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and that's a really good audiobook and book to feel the present moment at hand. This is like a non sequitur, a stream of conscious video that I'm creating. But that's okay. But one thing that's refreshing though is that I'm doing this at nighttime because, again, I'm doing this at the last minute, the last day that I can not break the chain of doing these weekly videos, because today's Saturday, and at least the recording of this video, and tomorrow is technically a new week. So by the time I upload this, at least I'm not going to be breaking the chain of the habit that I challenge myself to do for this year. So yeah, this is what happens when you're giving yourself the challenge to show up. Because sometimes you never know what creative outlets you can do if you just simply show up. That's all you really need. And by that, I have no idea what else to say, honestly. But I'm having fun with this now. Here's one tip I can say. If you don't feel like doing something and you know it's important to you, give yourself 5 minutes to just embrace it all. The inspiration will likely come once you do the thing that you want to do. I really want this to end, honestly. But at the same time, I'm enjoying this process. Because one thing I will say though, doing this weekly, is that I feel that I have a much better improvement when it comes to giving and ideas of sorting my thoughts out as I'm talking to you, the camera, the audience, whatever. How many more minutes do I have? I should have kept track of the time, but I'm hoping the alarm will go off anytime soon, so that way I can just upload this and say I've done it. I'm proud that I haven't broke the chain yet. Come on, man. What other useful ideas do I have in mind? I have other topics, but I'm going to save that for another video. Most likely tomorrow, so I can I can get over with it. Is the alarm going to go off? Well, if I get views or not, it's fine. At this point, I'm doing this for me, but now I've come to discover that I wouldn't mind some audience. Yeah. Let it be over. Let it be over, dude. But you know what? That's why preparation is helpful. To find ways to be prepared of a more structural speech. Is it over? I have no idea. I'm honestly going to look at the front of this and see if I can see how much time I have left. Oh, goodness. I have 2 more minutes left. At this point, I feel like I'm wasting time, not giving any value I want to talk about. But you know what? I think the value that I can say that I'm giving is that there's a relatability of the human struggle on trying to improve one's skill. And I know I speak pretty often when I talk about giving speeches as well. I'm so tired. I'm okay with this because this is my own documentary and how I'm going to get better with this. I know I will get better. I'm already feeling like I'm getting better. Let it be over. Okay. It's late. I want to go home. And I want to upload this video so I can check off this challenge that I'm doing for myself. And this is not something I want to do often because I feel like it's a scapegoat to try to do better on just finding ways to give ideas and teach whatever topic I want to bring up for. I think it's almost done. That's okay. This is not easy thing to do. The 20 minutes of doing this weekly challenge. I think it's 20 minutes. I think so. I'm going to check. I see the alarm didn't even go off, but I'm past my 20-minute mark, and I'm proud to have done this. Anyways, for those who actually made it, wow, cool. Thank you. And that's it for now. Bye.